The biggest financial traps men fall in their 50s. Nobody wants you. What if the financial stability you have spent 30 years building is actually a house of cards? Most men in their 50s believe they have reached the safe zone. They have the house, the stable job, and the retirement account. But there is a silent, invisible trap that catches almost everyone at this stage of life, and if you don't spot it now, you might lose everything you have worked a lifetime to build. You aren't warned about this because, for most, by the time they realize it, it is already too late. There are specific psychological and financial shifts that happen in your 50s that make you a target. You are no longer in the growth phase, you are in the preservation phase. And that switch in your brain is exactly what the system uses against you. Whether it is the pressure to fund a child's lifestyle, the sudden urge to make it big before retirement, or the fear of shrinking time, these traps are designed to drain your legacy. In this video, I'm not going to give you generic investment advice. I'm going to reveal the exact blind spots that are silently sabotaging men in their 50s right now. If you want to ensure that your retirement is actually a time of freedom and not a desperate scramble to survive, you need to hear this. The first trap is the ego legacy. In your 50s, the desire to be seen as the successful provider peaks. You start financing things you don't need, for people who don't appreciate the sacrifice, just to maintain a status. This is the decade where men often over-leverage their homes or drain their savings to bail out adult children or fund family projects that have zero return. You think you are building a legacy, but you are actually burning your own retirement fuel. The second is the healthcare blind spot. Most men in their 50s calculate retirement costs based on their current lifestyle. They ignore the silent inflation of healthcare. You are entering the decade where your physical capital starts to depreciate. If you have not calculated the long-term cost of health maintenance, your nest egg will be decimated by medical bills before you even turn 70. The third trap is the high-risk makeup. Many men reach their 50s, look at their account, and panic because they are not where they should be. This leads to the most dangerous financial behavior, chasing garage-quick schemes, speculative stocks, or high-risk business ventures because you are desperate to accelerate your returns. This is not investing, this is gambling with the most precious commodity you have left, time. You are operating from a place of scarcity, and that is where you make the worst decisions of your life. Next is the dependency trap. You have spent decades identifying as an employee. In your 50s, this becomes a liability. If your company decides you are too expensive, you are the first on the list for a layoff. If you do not have a secondary income stream or a personal brand that exists outside of your corporate email address, you are effectively powerless. You are not an employee, you are a contractor with no other clients. That is not security, that is extreme risk. Then there is the safety trap. Many men, fearing market volatility, pull all their money into low-yield savings accounts or bonds. They think they are being safe, but they are losing the battle against inflation every single year. You are essentially watching your purchasing power evaporate. True safety in your 50s is not hiding your cash. It is having a diversified, inflation-proof machine that continues to work while you transition into retirement. You also fall into the advisor trap. You start hiring wealth managers who put you into high-fee products that look professional but underperform the market. You are paying for the illusion of expertise. You must take ownership of your numbers. If you cannot explain your investment strategy in simple terms, you do not understand it, and you should not be in it. Finally, recognize the time value shift. In your 20s, time was a resource you spent freely. In your 50s, time is the only resource you cannot replace. Stop trading your time for tasks that don't scale. Stop being the guy who fixes everything himself. Start being the guy who builds systems. Your goal now is to maximize the output of every dollar you have remaining. The ego legacy trap is only the beginning. Another critical danger is the empty nest adjustment. When children leave, many men in their 50s try to maintain the same level of household spending or, worse, upgrade their living situation to fill the void. You must recognize that your overhead costs should be trending downward, not upward. Every dollar you spend on a house that is too big or a lifestyle that is too loud is a dollar stolen from your future peace of mind. Then there is the denial of depreciating skills. The corporate world changes rapidly, and in your 50s, you might be tempted to coast on your decades of experience. However, if you are not actively sharpening your skills or adopting new technology, you are becoming obsolete. Being expensive and outdated is a dangerous combination that makes you the first target for restructuring. You must remain a student of your industry, or you will find yourself pushed out of the market entirely. Additionally, men often fall for the comparison trap. You look at your peers, some of whom may have had lucky breaks or inherited wealth, and you try to match their lifestyle. This is the fastest way to drain your capital. Your financial journey is personal. Comparing your portfolio or your lifestyle to others is a psychological game that you are guaranteed to lose. Focus only on your own math, your own goals, and your own timeline. We also need to talk about the benevolence burden. In your 50s, you might be caught between caring for aging parents and supporting adult children. While it is natural to want to help, you cannot sacrifice your own financial survival to sustain theirs. If you do not have a defined boundary, you will be the one needing a bailout in your 60s. You must have the courage to say no to protect your own solvency. Furthermore, consider the risk-blind retirement plan. Many men plan for a linear retirement. They assume they will live to a certain age and spend a certain amount. They fail to account for black swan events, economic crashes, prolonged periods of low growth, or sudden personal crises. Your plan must be resilient, not just optimistic. If your strategy only works in a perfect world, your strategy is already broken. You are also likely ignoring the asset class stagnation trap. If your entire net worth is tied up in your primary residence or a single retirement fund, you have a massive single point of failure. True wealth preservation in your 50s requires a diverse engine of assets that are uncorrelated. You need to be looking at how your portfolio survives different market conditions, not just relying on a set it and forget it mentality that hasn't been audited in years. Finally, the most dangerous trap is the finality mindset. You feel like you have run out of time to make big changes. This is completely false. Your 50s are actually a prime window to pivot your strategy because you have the experience and capital that your 20-year-old self lacked. If you accept that your trajectory is fixed, you have lost control. You have time to adjust, time to optimize, and time to build a firewall around your wealth. Audit your life today, not tomorrow, not after the next paycheck, but right now. The difference between a comfortable retirement and a life of stress is decided by the decisions you make in this specific decade. Don't let your legacy be defined by traps you were warned about but chose to ignore. Your future is not a gift, it is a project you are managing until the very last day.